Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome, all you dregs of society, all you rock dwellers, all you sycophants, all you racists, all you hateful people out there who celebrate the president and love and respect our country. You're always welcome here, and this is the Conservative Commandos radio show. My co-host today is the doctor for the Republic, Dr. Right, Dr. Nasir Shaikh. Nasir, welcome back to Conservative Commandos.
Thank you, Rick. Hey, guess what? It's just another great day to be alive and well and free and living in the United States of America, the greatest country in the history of the world, bar none. You've got a symbol of that behind you. I've got the symbol behind me as well.
I do.
Absolutely. So let's go. Let's rock and roll.
All right. Nasir, what is on your radar screen today, my friend?
Well, you know what? We talk about this all the time, Rick. Everything has now become weaponized. Everything has become politicized. You can't sit back anymore and watch a baseball game or a football game or a hockey or a basketball game without some leftist idiot talking about gun control or talking about gender fluidity or talking about whatever. You know what? And I wouldn't like it, Rick, even if there was a conservative pundit that came on during these shows and talked about a conservative topic or whatever. I just want to be able to watch my baseball or football or sporting activity, whatever. But guess what's happened? Major League Baseball, they bent over backwards and frontwards. The Washington Redskins. We heard from Mr. Snyder. Never going to do anything. But you know what? Money talks and BS walks. They're going to change the name. The Cleveland Indians, they're going to change their name. The Atlanta Braves, I think they forgot about the tomahawk chop. We can't even do this thing anymore. I mean, things have just gone unbelievable. This social justice. You know, the first week of the NFL season, what they're going to do, they're going to play. I didn't even know this. There's an African national anthem, Black national anthem. Okay, all right. But I mean, and Roger Goodell said they were wrong, that they should have been right along the front edge of social justice. And you know what? I'm telling you what, the left, they get their hands intertwined, their tentacles, their cancerous tentacles on everything. They destroy it. Look what they did to the Boy Scouts. They destroyed it. Why? Because they decided to add girls to it and transgenders.
Well, not only that.
Everything that these...
Well, Nasir, I think what really went a long way in bringing down the Boy Scouts was their policy of allowing homosexual scout leaders to lead the troops. That led to child abuse, that led to lawsuits, that led to the outrage from the public, and I think that's part of what has brought down the Boy Scouts. But you're right about all the major sports teams and how you cannot just sit back and enjoy a game that everything, as you say, has been politicized, weaponized, has become political. ESPN. I mean, I think people should take a lesson what happened to ESPN.
Oh, absolutely.
There was so much resembling. Backlash is the word I was looking for. There's so much backlash at ESPN about all their commentators getting so political. What was the name? Jamel Hill, the woman that was fired? I mean, they told their anchors to get away from the politics. Absolutely get away from the politics. But now, okay, here you go. Washington Redskins are changing their name. Now, sir, there was a study done a few years back of American Indians, okay? Native Americans, indigenous people, whatever you want to call them. There was a poll that 95% of the American Indians were not offended by names like the Washington Redskins, the Cleveland Indians, the Atlanta Braves. You know, they didn't care. They didn't see it as a problem. It's the liberals, Nasir, it's the liberals who want to politicize everything. That's where the problem's at. They're the ones that are offended, not the Indians. They weren't offended. The liberals go out and look for things to be offended by.
Oh,
That's the
absolutely.
culture we are in today.
You're absolutely right. I mean, okay, so they changed the name. The left, they just can't live with these small victories. They're always upset. They're always mad.
Oh, no,
they always want to change. They never. It's the next thing.
That's why I say you can't.
That's why
I say you. That's why I say you can't compromise with these
people. No,
people.
you can't.
Because every little compromise to them is just a step in the direction that they want you to go. And I've said this before. The right and left see compromise very differently.
Absolutely.
The right see compromise as, okay, we'll give a little and then everybody will be happy. Not so. The left will never be happy until they get their way on every issue. And their issues are going more and more farther and farther to the right, more and more ridiculous. It's ridiculous to think that 20 years ago that you'd be having a conversation at the Washington Redskins changing their name. After 83 years, the Washington Redskins are changing their name. Hey, but you know what? Are the San Diego Padres changing their names? I don't think so. What about the Los Angeles Angels? Are they changing their names? I don't think so. Why? Because Padres and Angels... They're not going to be offended by...
They'll come after the Los Angeles Angels. I've talked about this before because angels imply religion. Can't have religion in baseball or sports. They're going to go after them. They're every single... Look what they did. They went after a pancake syrup. Aunt Jemima. They went after a pancake syrup because of the way the bottle was.
Yep.
And trying to revamp everything. I mean, it's just absolutely... It's crazy. It's crazy.
Hey, Nasir, let's take our first break. And on the other side of the break, we'll let our audience know who our guests are for today. And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Nasir Shaikh and yours truly, Rick Trader. Today's show, like all our shows, is brought to you by the First Amendment, protected by the Second. Nasir and I will be right back.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. And you know, the hallmark of our show being our great guests that we bring to the airwaves and the TV waves each and every day. Nasir, we have 3 more great guests today.
We do, Rick. Our first guest is Nick Stehle. He's the Vice President of Communications at the Foundation for Government Accountability. Nick is going to be talking to us about his article about ending the destructive $600 a week unemployment bonus. We also have Dr. Vincent Pry, who's the Executive Director of the Task Force on National and Homeland Security, and he's going to be talking to us about have Russia and China already militarized space. And finally, we have Caleb Rossiter. He's new to the show here. He's the Executive Director of the CO2 Coalition of 50 Climate Scientists and Energy Economists, and he's going to be talking to us about his article, Environmental Facts versus Environmental Fact Checkers. Once again, 3 great guests here on the Conservative Commandos radio show, Rick.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Well, Nasir, Cuomo is back in the news. He's blasting local governments over the mask thing, and he's threatening to once again shut down restaurants and bars.
Well, you know what? Leave it to the ingenuity of the American people, because supposedly one of the things is you just can't serve liquor by itself, right? I mean, liquor of all things. Did you know that liquor has a way of transmitting the COVID virus?
I did not know that.
Absolutely. Oh, I mean, you know what? Yeah, from bottle to bottle. You know, you take a sip of beer or a little sip of wine, you talk to somebody, next thing you know is those COVID little viri, they're going to jump right out and infect somebody else. So guess what these bar owners decide to do? Well, if you can't have your beer or your wine by itself, how about you take it with a side of chips or something else? So they decided to do it that way. But this guy, I mean, Andrew Cuomo, Comrade de Blasio, they are continuing trying to do everything they can because they already have a job. They've got the job. They're supported by the taxpayers. They don't have to worry about their paycheck. They're fine and dandy. They're going to be great. But you know what? So what if a few thousand or a few hundred bars or restaurants close in America or in downtown New York City? Do these guys give a damn? Absolutely not. They're doing everything they can because this is what their whole ultimate purpose is. It's about bringing down this administration, bringing down President Trump. And if they can continue this, they couldn't do it with all the other distractions, Rick. The delusion, collusion of Russia, you know, the Ukraine gate, you know, all the other stuff. They couldn't do it. Now they're hoping that this virus is going to do the job that, you know, nature would do the job that they couldn't do themselves.
Well, you're absolutely right, Nasir. This whole thing, from the very beginning, was nothing more than a way to destroy the economy, to destroy the Trump presidency. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how the stock market has absolutely rebounded. It's amazing how the unemployment picture is turning already. Why? Business owners know, investors know that we have a president. We have a president who knows what's best for the American economy. They figure that this Chinese flu is just a temporary situation. They know that Donald Trump has the track record, he has the policies to rebuild the economy, but they're not giving up. They're not giving up. You got people like Cuomo. You got people like Phil Murphy. You got people like that idiot governor in California,
Gavin Newsom
out there, that they don't care. They're willing to destroy their states. They're willing to destroy people's lives to bring down Donald Trump. Tell me they're patriots? They're not patriots. They are absolutely not patriots.
Anarchists.
Well, Disney has a unique way to adhere to the standards of the Chinese flu, wearing masks.
You can't even visit Mickey Mouse without having a mask on. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. And the thing is, what they want you to do, Rick, now at Disney World is you can't walk around the park and sip your soda, eat a slice of pizza, or munch on a bagel or a pretzel or whatever, because your mask will be off. What they're asking you to do is go get your food, thousands of people around you, find some spot near that restaurant that you're 6 feet away from thousands of other people around you. Do that calculation in your head. Take your mask off, bite a little bit of your pretzel or pizza, put your mask back on, take a sip. But you know where you don't need a mask? You don't need a mask in a swimming pool, Rick. You don't need a mask in a swimming pool. Now I ask you, you don't think that the virus can survive in water?
I doubt it.
This is the stupidity of this mask wearing. It's just absolutely asinine. But you know what? That's what we're being told by supposedly all the people that know what's good for us. The CDC, Dr. Fauci, he says it. We got to do it. These people, they tell you what you can put in your mouth and what they want to exit out of your anus. That's what these guys want to do. They want to control everything. They want to control what you eat.
Well, that's what government and people like Mario Cuomo or he's not around, but the Cuomo boys want to do. They want to control every aspect of your life. And by the way, Nasir, there a news flash just come across the wire. The CDC has announced 2 dates that they expect the Chinese flu epidemic to end. Just across the screen here. That one is November 10th, 2020. That's if Donald Trump loses. Or November 10th of 2024 if he wins. They're the 2 dates. It has right here a news flash that the CDC has said the Chinese flu epidemic will be over. It's what it's all about. It's what it's always all about. Getting rid of Donald Trump. And as I said, they're willing to destroy the country, Nasir, to do it. Hey, you know what, Nasir? There was a group, I think de Blasio was part of the group, that has painted a mural in front of the Trump Towers in New York. BLM, Black Lives Matter.
That's right.
Apparently there's another artist that also did a work of art.
I love this. I absolutely love it. And I'm just waiting for somebody to do this thing. And yes, in front of a Planned Parenthood facility in Salt Lake City, Utah, a pro-life artist, huge thing right in the street. Baby lives matter. I love it, Rick. You know what? People can go to the website. I mean, you can go on the internet, see it. Beautiful picture. This is what we need. We got to counter everything that the left and the alt-left media and the Democratic State Party controlled media do.
I agree.
We've got to counter it and not be afraid. And it's so refreshing to see somebody do something like this.
Well, Nasir, I'm going to get a little bit, you'll say right here. If Black Lives Matter, Nasir, Black Lives, then why then does the black community continue to support the Democrat Party with 90% of their vote, when the Democrat Party supports abortion, which has killed 60 million American babies, 40% of those babies have been black babies. Why does the black community continue to support the Democrat Party, the party that created the Ku Klux Klan? Why do they continue to support the Democrat Party, the party that was all for Jim Crow laws? Why does the black community continue to support the Democrat Party, the party that really does not have its back? I don't know, Nasir. So when you say Black Lives Matter, if Black lives really mattered, you would not be supporting the Democrat Party. Hey, with that, Nasir, we do need to take a break. You are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show. My co-host is the Doctor for the Republic, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we'll be speaking with Nick Stehle on the other side. He is the Vice President of Communications at the Foundation for Government Accountability, talking about the end of destructive unemployment bonuses. We'll be right back right after this break.
Mom, thank God you're going to be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day, and for as little as $1.99 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033. 1-877-461-5033.
And once again, we want to welcome you back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, the doctor for the Republic, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. For rebroadcast of our show, be it our radio show or our TV show, please check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. And Nasir, our first guest, is with us today, and as you do with all our guests, please make them feel welcome.
Thank you, Rick. Today we're joined by Nick Stehle. He's the Vice President of Communications at the Foundation for Government Accountability. That's a company that we definitely want to make sure, okay, has our backs. Prior to joining FGA, he was the Chief Operating Officer at the Martin Organization. So, Nick, we want to welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, listen, we want to talk to you about the article, End the Destructive Unemployment Bonus, because this has been a pretty big hot topic of, what's been going on. I'm sure Americans are, let's face it, look, it's human nature in a way to, if the government or someone saying, hey, here's a bunch of cash, and you go, what's the catch? Well, they stay at home and collect it. I mean, I think most people, yeah, they want to work, but they're not idiots either, And my question to you is this. On one of the media platforms, there was a lady out in Washington, the state, and she said that when she tried to get her workers to come back, they actually were upset with her. And some of these workers were with her. Some were family members, and they literally got upset with her because they said, hey, if we come back to work, we're going to be making less than what we're getting now. So my question is, isn't this one of those things where the employer is really getting the shaft? And if they report the employee, does the employee then lose their benefits if they're reported saying that we did ask them to come back, but they don't want to? Or is it up to the employee to they basically say, hey, when I decide to come back, I'll come back?
Well, yes. So in states that are actually doing it like they should, yes, that is what's happening when the employer reports to the Department of Workforce Services or whatever that reporting agency is in that state. They should lose those benefits, but that's not always happening, of course. Business people have businesses to run, and they're not always worried about the reporting. They're just desperate to find help so they can reopen and start to save their business, which is in so many cases it's their dream. And you think about it, small businesses are the lifeblood of our economy, and right now Congress is really just telling them, sorry, we don't need you. Maybe if you were a big corporation with some powerful lobbyists, we could help you out, but until then we don't really care. And so ultimately it's past time to end that way of thinking. And of course, now that this unemployment bonus is set to expire here at the end of the month, this is the time when Congress has the opportunity to do the right thing and fix this.
Well, what would it take, Nick, for them to extend it? Is there something that they can do, a CRA, a continuing resolution, or does this have to be acted upon in total? I mean, what's the situation that you're hearing, from the cesspool, that toilet bowl flush that we hear in the background?
So basically the way it's working right now is this thing is set to expire. So if they don't do anything, it expires. Now there's going to be some sort of bill. Something's going to come out. I've heard a lot of ideas, everything from a full extension to a partial extension to some good things that could possibly replace could replace the bonus, like income tax holidays and tax cuts for small businesses and things of that nature. But there are also some really bad ideas. And at the end of the day, there's one really strong reason why you're going to see a whole lot of people, especially on the left, not want to do away with this. And that is that bonus just somehow magically works out to be about $15 an hour. Now, I'll leave it up to you all to figure out why that might be, but that's where we are right now. And for that reason, it's definitely an uphill climb to get Congress to do the right thing here.
Well, Nick, we continually always hear that there's no money left. You always see that little clock they show sometimes as an advertisement or on social media, and it just ticks over. And you see one of those great actors, I forget his name, but he's always basically talking about, gold, buy this, buy that. In the meantime, the billions and trillions of dollars are just continuing to, count down. So my question is, we always hear that there's no money and it's always going to affect us, but it doesn't really seem to do that on the surface. So it looks like that as long as they keep printing the money, my question to you is, from the other side, devil's advocate, so what if the government continues to do this? I mean, when's it going to really hurt?
Well, the bad thing is, I guess none of us really know when the day of reckoning is going to come. We don't know what that line is, that when you cross it, there's no coming back. We just know that there is a line. There certainly is. There is in our own budgets. And sometimes just because I make a bad financial decision personally doesn't mean I don't come back from it. But someday you might not, and someday you might wind up in bankruptcy court. And so ultimately, I think that the American people are finally starting to pay a little bit more attention to that. In fact, we've been doing a little bit of polling on it, specifically on the bailouts issue, because that's one of the things that's going to be coming up now, is whether or not states need bailouts. Some states have been slow to reopen their economies because they have assumed there's going to be a bailout, and they suddenly start reopening when they realize that maybe the Trump administration is going to push back on that a little bit. And ultimately, our polling has shown that most people, if you ask them bailouts or no bailouts, you go ask those same folks, you say, well, what if it's a state that made bad financial decisions beforehand? They suddenly don't want the bailouts anymore. So I think that is probably a pretty important point, and maybe perhaps sort of a turning point in this whole discussion, is when the American people start to say, no, New York has a $4 billion Medicaid deficit. That's just from their Medicaid program. And now we're talking about adding 55 million more people to the Medicaid program nationwide because of coronavirus. At some point, I think everyone, and that includes, based on the polling I've seen, that includes a whole lot of Democrats and independents. I think people are just kind of done with it.
Well, Nick, I mean, you add California to the mix, in terms of their unfunded liabilities. I mean, we've had guests come on here talking about, the pensions out there, the state government pension plans, they took a little bit of a hit. I think they've recovered, somewhat. Then the other thing is, just in terms of, just like you're saying, these states, these blue states that have made these bad decisions, it seems that, President Trump seems to he's going to hold the line. But we have a lot of wishy-washy, small R Republicans that don't like to have their faces and their quotes being played on the alphabet networks, because then it's like, Republicans, hate children, want to, shove grandma and grandpa off a cliff. You don't want to feed children or whatever. So if this goes to Congress, do you really think that the Republicans there are going to hold the line, or you think they're going to fold like a cheap suit?
Well, that's a good question, and that's what we're going to find out this month, I think. But ultimately, I think, from what I've seen, I can tell you there are a whole lot of Republicans who definitely do want to, in the case of the unemployment insurance bonus, they definitely want to see it expire. Seeing a whole lot of that, especially on the Senate side. They don't believe that unemployment ought to pay more than work for most Americans, and right now it does.
That's just the stupidest, most idiotic, insane, asinine thing that I've ever seen. You're right. If unemployment pays more than work, why go back? And, you wrote in your article that about 65% of small business are worried their employees will not return. Nick, my question to you is, I mean, if those workers don't return, we've been hearing, and I've been having this argument with my friends saying, hey, come on, that's just a really bad argument, Nasir. People are going to return to work. There's people out there that want to get a job, $12, $13, $14 an hour in some of these places. So if these restaurant and bar owners, aren't there people out there right now that aren't getting a $600 unemployment check on top of everything else? Aren't they looking for work out there? So are we really hearing the right story here, or what?
Yeah, I would say if your friends are saying that, they're probably not business owners, because the business owners, every single business owner I've spoken with, we did this video it was on this bar in Wisconsin. It was owned by this couple, Janine and Dave Dyler. And they started this saloon up, and they tried to restart it. It was going well. They tried to restart it with all the social distancing, following all the rules. They were doing everything that they were told to do for reopening, but their employees just kept telling them, sorry, we don't want to come back. We can make more money. Can you really blame me? I mean, that's the level of honesty they were getting from their employees. So, some folks were honest about it, and look, at the end of the day, Congress is making it nearly impossible for us to recover from this. This was a shutdown we were shut down by the government, and so I understand why they thought maybe they needed to do something, because they forced people out of jobs rather than a natural recession happening. But it was a bad idea then, and it's an even worse idea now. And that's why, most Americans do. We know most Americans do support letting this expire at the end of July.
Well, listen, Nick, we've got to take a quick break here. Got to do some business with our sponsor, but we'd love to hold you over for another segment. Can you do that?
Sure can.
Well, great. We're speaking here with Nick Stehle. He's the Vice President of Communications for the Foundation for Government Accountability, and we're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with iHeartRadio, TalkStream Live, TuneIn American Political Radio, AM/FM 24/7, and also seen in California on the AUN TV network. Folks, we'll be right back in just a few minutes with our guest, Nick Stehle.
Attention homeowners, do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
And welcome back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Right, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Want to give a shout out to folks who are listening to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and also seen on the AUN television network in San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose, and all those other tremendously conservative places out there on the West Coast. Our guest this segment is Nick Stehle. He's the Vice President of Communications at the Federation for Government Accountability, and we're discussing End the Destructive Unemployment Bonus. Nick, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time. Nick, you and Nasir were talking about what is going on here, but there's something very alarming that I saw in your article, and frankly, I knew this was coming, but to see this number in front of me was a shock. We have already lost 140,000 small businesses due to this shutdown. Nick, like I said, I thought it was going to come, but it was a real shock to see this number on paper.
Yeah, it's really upsetting, especially when you consider just how many people small businesses employ, how important small businesses are to our economy. It's quite alarming, and we're doing everything we can to disincentivize work, whether we're disincentivizing work through, these unemployment bonuses, or, and this is something a lot of people don't realize, this bonus doesn't count towards your Medicaid eligibility. So people who are getting this bonus might also still be they might still be eligible for the Medicaid program. So ultimately, we're going to put another 55 million people in that program. That's long-term dependency. And by the way, they can't be removed before the end of the national emergency for any reason, even if they're no longer eligible for the program. So,
wow.
Right. It is a comedy of errors, and we're just compounding this problem time and time again.
Nick, in your article, you point out a couple of examples. One actually happened not too far from where you live, down there in Tennessee. A pine mill was set to lay off 400 workers, partly because the workers themselves preferred to make more money on unemployment rather than work for their usual pay. Nick, we all have heard about the restaurants. The restaurants are in terrible shape. In fact, yesterday I went by a diner, a local diner. On a Sunday morning, Monday morning, you expect there'd be 150 to 100 customers. They set up in their parking lot because Governor Phil Murphy refuses to let them open up inside. It was about 90 degrees out there. They had two tables, Nick, two tables out there with people. Okay? And less than 5% of what this restaurant usually would handle. But so we would expect restaurants to be hit. But a pine mill, a lumber mill, a sawmill, about to shut down because their 200 employees don't want to come back to work. This is crazy. That's not a small, in my opinion, That's not a small business. That's 200 employees. That's got to be a shock, not only to the sawmill, but to that community.
Yeah, that's right. And it's not just, that's going to reverberate, throughout that entire community. You're going to have other businesses impacted by that. Everything that they might buy, whether it's a car or a boat or a house, it's going to impact everyone. It's going to impact now, I talked to an insurance agent the other day, and he's even seeing his business down because there are people who are now, not buying those products. So it's going to affect everybody, every segment of the economy. And the other thing that it's going to do, I mean, can you imagine being a child and watching your parent, decide not to go back to work and instead collect money from the taxpayers over an extended period of time? I mean, so we're teaching now an entire generation of young people that work doesn't pay off. We're teaching them, maybe in a lot of cases, I think they're even trying to basically say that work is some sort of punishment, that it's something that we do, out of maybe because we want to put people in danger or something. I mean, it's really ridiculous, some of the stories that we're hearing. And I know it's a restaurant, but I can't help but mention there was a local restaurant where the guy was struggling. He took out one of the PPP loans to try to keep his restaurant afloat and to try to keep his people employed. And he was pretty open about the fact that he still would have been better off financially if he just shut them down. He didn't really need the recurring income. I assume his buildings are paid off. And he was ready to just shut them down for a while. And instead, he kept them open for his employees. And then his employees got mad at him. And they said, why would you cost us all this free money?
Nick, I've heard that story time and time again. You mentioned that. You also, Nasir mentioned the restaurant in the state of Washington. I heard the same thing happened to a lady who has a health spa in Atlanta. She got one of the loans. She was very excited. She called her employees, letting them know the good news. They were all over her. They were angry at her that she went and did this, again, because they make more money sitting on their butts doing nothing. You know, Nick, another figure that you had here that was surprising to me, although it shouldn't be. You write in your article, the average unemployment benefit is now equivalent to roughly a $50,000 per year salary. You mentioned this thing, by the way, this works out to $600 a week. That's about $15 an hour, and isn't that the minimum wage they want? Nick, I got to think that this is going to have a huge inflationary effect. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's definitely something to be worried about. It's one of the reasons that the whole guaranteed minimum income thing that they're clearly trying to push with this. I think this is a foot in the door for guaranteed minimum income. And it's one of the reasons why that's so silly, because, every conversation I have, especially, if you can have a conversation with someone on the left about this, you can pretty quickly get them to understand and admit that immediately the price of goods is going to go up to account for that. And that's something that I'm sure they know. The cynical part of me says that the folks who continue to push this know that and don't really care because
they do. That's just they don't care.
Right.
I think you hit it there. They don't care because you're in your article. You mentioned liberals in Congress would like to extend the handout for at least another 6 months. Remember the 99-week unemployment scam? It was amazing to me how many people miraculously found jobs after the 97th, 98th, or 99th week. There was no incentive. There was no incentive there, Nick. What is the percentage of that people get on unemployment? What percentage of their normal salary would they normally get on unemployment? Is it like 66%? Do you know offhand, Nick?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know there are some cases where it can be 80%, probably dependent on state. I don't know, but that's one of the reasons. It's one of the reasons why we have been, for the last, I guess, a little over a year now, we've been pushing to index unemployment to index those actual benefits to the unemployment rate, so that as the unemployment rate drops, automatically you have a little less time to find a job, because it is true, people tend to wait till the very last minute to actually go get that job. So, obviously when the unemployment was down in the 3% range, which it was and it will be again, God willing, obviously we should have shorter, a shorter term that people have to look for a job during that time. But, on this unemployment bonus, Milton Friedman used to say there's nothing as permanent as a temporary government program. And that's what we're
there you go.
Yeah, that's what really worries me right now, because we saw this with those extended unemployment benefits before, and it just didn't go away. And I'm afraid
you would think those brilliant people down in Washington would look and think back, and it's not that long ago that we had the 99-week unemployment. I remember talking about it here on the Conservative Commanders, saying, why go to work? Why? And, the other effect, Nick and Nasir, I think that you get out of all this is the law of inertia. The body at rest tends to stay at rest. The body motion tends to stay. 99 weeks unemployment. Another 6 months of this, Nick, I think people get even lazier. They forget how to go to work. They forget how to go and do their job. And it's almost like that they have to totally be retrained after this. I mean, am I thinking too far outside the box, Nick?
I don't think so. I just spent the last week vacationing with my family in the beautiful North Carolina mountains. And, it was a little tough to get up at 5 o'clock this morning and have my coffee and get to work. So I can't imagine what 99 weeks would have done.
Well, Nick, talk about go to work. Tell us what the Vice President of Communications at the Federation for Government Accountability, what do you do? What does your organization do?
Well, FGA, as we call it, is just really dedicated to the American dream and getting people out of government dependency, getting them back to work. We work on 3 different, issue areas or issue buckets. We work on welfare reform, trying to get those folks off of welfare back to work. We also work on healthcare, just trying to provide more, free market options for people and for families to get health insurance coverage. And then finally, we work on workforce reforms, which try to reduce barriers to work. So, whether it's an apprenticeships program or giving people, more options to get into good paying jobs and have a path to the middle class. That's what we're all about.
Nick Stehle, Vice President of Communications at the Federation for Government Accountability. We want to thank you so much for joining us here on the Conservative Commandos radio show. Nick, please tell our audience how they can keep track of you and what you write, and keep track of the Federation for Government Accountability.
Yeah, well, we are on the web at thefga.org, and we're also Foundation for Government Accountability on Facebook, Twitter, Parler, Instagram, you name it. We're there.
Nick Stehle, again, thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless.
Thank you.
And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Right, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to have Dr. Peter Vincent Pry join us, talk about have Russia and China already militarized space. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our next guest.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000. You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club for around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry. They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more. Call the number on your screen now for a free, no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and 0 deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir, Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. For rebroadcast of our shows, please check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. Be sure to like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And Nasir, we do have our next guest with us. He's a familiar guest here on Conservative Commandos, and please welcome him back.
Thank you, Rick. Also, what a great name. We have Dr. Peter Vincent Pry. He's the Executive Director of the Task Force on National and Homeland Security and a Director of the U.S. Nuclear Strategy Forum. Those are both congressional advisory boards. He's also the author of many books. You may have read or seen Blackout Wars, also EMP Manhattan Project, are just two of the many books that he's written. His latest book, which has just come out, is Will America Be Protected? So, Dr. Pry, we want to welcome you back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Always a pleasure.
Well, we want to talk to you about your article. This is something that I'm sure is going to have a lot of people interested in if they haven't already been sort of awakened to what's going on. It's your article, Have Russia and China Already Militarized Space? But before we begin, could you give our viewing and listening audience a little synopsis of what made you write Will America Be Protected and what's it about?
Basically, it's my progress report to the American people on how much progress the U.S. government has made implementing President Trump's executive order to protect our nation from the existential threat of EMP. More than a year ago now, March 26, 2019, President Trump signed that executive order. Listening to 20 years of warnings from our top scientists and strategists that America must be protected. And it's an excellent executive order. It puts all the relevant departments and agencies on the hot seat to finally do something about EMP and to implement the EMP Commission recommendations protecting our electric grid and the like. But I'm sorry to say that the deep state U.S. government is basically slow rolling, even sabotaging President Trump's EMP executive order. It's been more than a year and they haven't really done anything except more studies. And in fact, there are about 12 big questions that the deep state says, well, we have to answer these questions before we start protecting the grid and everything. And they're doing studies, endless studies, to answer questions that have been answered repeatedly, and the answers we have known about to these questions for decades. And so part of what I have done in this book is to answer the questions for them so that they won't have any more excuse. The questions are answered. They should start with the actual process of protecting the grid. Basically, what's happening with EMP protection is the government is dropping the ball the way it did with biological warfare preparedness. You know, we invested decades and billions of dollars supposedly getting ready for biological warfare, and what did they do? Endless studies. And then when the coronavirus crisis came, they were completely unprepared. No ventilators, no pharmaceuticals, not even any surgical masks. And the President of the United States himself has had to jump in to try to deal with the crisis. So, you know, the U.S. government is so inefficient and corrupt that they can't be trusted to do anything anymore. And I see the same thing happening with EMP preparedness that has happened with biological warfare preparedness. The American people are not being protected. And I hope if President Trump gets elected to a second term, and I hope he will, that he fires these people. You know, one promise he hasn't really delivered on is draining the swamp. He needs to drain the swamp and fire these people. And I named their names. You know, there's about a dozen people who need to be fired and moved out of the Department of Energy and the Department of Homeland Security who are Obama holdovers. I mean, it really mystifies me that President Trump's administration doesn't understand that holdovers from the Obama administration are not going to implement his executive orders competently anyway. So that's what the book is about.
You're right, Dr. Pry. I mean, one of the things is that, you know, they say things change, but it seems they always remain the same. You know, now the word is out. You know, we've been utilizing this word, the deep state, which the alt-left and the left-stream media basically say is just a figment of the imagination of those of us on the conservative side or on the right side. And they've been around since the days of Ronald Reagan. Yes. Remember when he was trying to do what he was doing with, you know, you talk about this in terms of the Star Wars initiative. And it was his plan that literally, I think, brought the Russian and, you know, brought down the Iron Curtain, because the Soviet Union just really couldn't keep up with it. But you had people like Tip O'Neill, you had people out there like Senator Ted Kennedy, I believe, with this infamous letter to the Soviet Union, you know, trying to undermine everything that President Reagan was doing, you know, calling him, you know, what did they call him? The cowboy off the range, or so to speak, or whatever. Yeah. You know, and they're doing the same thing here. They're slow walking this. They're taking their time, as you say. And, you know, I think that what's happening is that the politicization of, you know, these generals and these people in the Pentagon, no longer are you getting, I think, right or correct advice, because I think everybody just wants to kiss somebody's derriere to move up the chain of command. But no one's really out there really doing anything, it seems like, to really protect the homeland in America. I mean, the president can write all the orders that he wants to, sir, but if they don't implement it and start working on it, I mean, where can we go from here?
Right, and we see the same thing that happened with the failure of biological warfare preparedness and the failure of EMP preparedness happening with the U.S. Space Force, which is one of the things my article was about. You know, because those of us who supported President Trump's Space Force and cheered for its establishment understood, and I believe this was the president's intent. I believe President Trump intended, by establishing the U.S. Space Force, to bring back Ronald Reagan's vision of the Strategic Defense Initiative, which the left foolishly derided as Star Wars. Reagan wanted to get us out of mutual assured destruction, you know, which is an unethical, inconsistent with Judeo-Christian values, and strategically, frankly, for a democracy that puts the highest value on the survival of its people, that's the highest value for us. It's not the thing of highest value for communist China or Russia or totalitarian states. For them, their people are expendable, you know, but mutual assured destruction is not in our interests. The American people would much rather be defended than avenged. And Reagan's idea was to establish a space-based missile defense, a shield in space, that could potentially render nuclear missiles obsolete, but that would at minimum make a first strike impractical for any of our adversaries, because they wouldn't be able to get enough warheads through that missile shield in order to have high confidence that a first strike would work. And that's what President Reagan had in mind. I believe that's what President Trump intended with the U.S. Space Force. But once again, the deep state and the space in the State Department and the Department of Defense have other ideas. You know, they basically are construing the U.S. Space Force as basically designed to protect the current constellation of satellites so that we can continue to efficiently support offensive operations by bomber and by missile. You know, it's not considered the militarization of space, you know, to have satellites up there that enable us to prosecute war on land, sea, and air. That's not militarization of space. It's not even militarization of space according to the Russians and Chinese or our own State Department when you're using space to launch offensive nuclear warheads and hypersonic missiles through space. But when you start talking about basing defenses in space to protect American civilization, that's militarization of space all of a sudden. And unfortunately, our own people in the State Department, who are, again, are holdovers, they've been doing this for decades. You know, Bill Clinton could have deployed. We had a space-based missile defense ready. You know, it is not true. One of the myths that the left puts out there is that the Strategic Defense Initiative failed. It didn't fail. You know, SDI came up with at least one very effective program called Brilliant Pebbles that was ready to go under the Clinton administration. And Bill Clinton could have deployed it. And if he had, we wouldn't have to worry about North Korea or China or Russia today. But he didn't, because he was a fan. He was, ideologically, he was committed to mutual assured destruction and arms control. He didn't want to pull out of the anti-ballistic missile treaty. He considered mutual assured destruction and the ABM treaty to be the cornerstone of strategic stability. And there are still people in the Pentagon, in fact, a critical mass of them still think that way. You know, they don't want to do anything by putting satellites in space, you know, to interfere with China and Russia's ability to strike us, you know, because that upsets strategic stability, the way they calculate strategic stability in terms of mutual assured destruction. The most plausible argument they have, though, is that, you know, we are far more dependent on space than Russia or China. You know, we've got 900 satellites in space. China has 300. Russia has about 150. Our economy and our military effectiveness is much more dependent on space than it is for them. So they're afraid of starting an arms race in space because they think that we will be the losers in the long run. But I think that this is a misguided concept, you know, because the Russians and Chinese don't respect any of the treaties. You know, over and over again, they cheat on these arms control treaties. You know, the State Department assumes that Russia and China comply with the Outer Space Treaty, for example, that prohibits the placement of nuclear weapons in orbit. You know, I think it's entirely possible, given that Russia has cheated on the Presidential Nuclear Initiative on tactical nuclear weapons. They cheated on the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. They cheated on the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, Russia and China both. They're probably cheating on the New START Treaty. So why should they obey the Outer Space Treaty? You know, they've broken all the treaties. You know, I suspect that we should be planning on the fact that China and Russia have both probably been violating the Outer Space Treaty for a long time. They may have nuclear-armed satellites hidden among this large constellation of 300 satellites on the Chinese side and 150 on the Russian side. And in my article, I just described some of the things that are well within the technological capability of Russia and China to do that they could be doing in space right now. You know, they have probably already militarized space in a way that is beyond the imagination of our State Department and our Department of Defense. And we will be foolish if we continue to thwart the intent of the President and the U.S. Space Force by not deploying space-based defenses. You know, the best answer to strategic stability, to preserving our civilization, and protecting our space assets is to have space-based missile defense so we can shoot down threats to our satellites and threats to the lives of the American people that could be delivered at us through space. That's basically what the article is about. And I hope it'll be a wake-up call to people. One of the things I also argue in the article, very important.
Dr. Pry, sorry to break in here, but we have to take a hard break. We're hoping that you could stay with us for our next segment. Is that possible? And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Our guest this segment is Dr. Peter Vincent Pry, the Executive Director of the Task Force on National and Homeland Security and the Director of the U.S. Nuclear Strategy Forum. We're discussing, have Russia and China already militarized space? Don't go away. We'll be right back with more from our guest right after this break.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. For rebroadcasts of our show, best place to go is our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. We always load the latest version of our TV show and our radio show there. And don't forget to like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. Our guest this segment is Dr. Peter Vincent Pry. He's the Executive Director U.S. Nuclear Strategy Forum. Dr. Pry, thank you for holding through that break. We really do appreciate your time. Dr. Pry, your article, Have Russia and China Already Militarized Space? What's your best guess on this? Have they done this already?
Yes, I think they do. I think even devotees of arms control couldn't deny that at minimum, Russia and China militarized space by experimenting with and orbiting anti-satellite satellites that are dedicated to anti-satellite missions. Russia currently.
What would that look like? What would those satellites do? How do their satellites become a threat to our satellites?
Russia currently has in orbit 4 anti-satellites, and they have various means. What they would do, for example, they did an experiment earlier this year. The Russians did, where they tracked one of our KH-11 reconnaissance satellites. This is a military satellite, one of our most important reconnaissance satellites. They didn't take our reconnaissance satellite out. That would have been an act of war. But they demonstrated a capability to track that satellite and get close enough to that satellite so that they could have destroyed the satellite. There's a number of ways they've experimented with destroying satellites. One of them is to orbit an anti-satellite that basically can put out a blast, like it's more than a shotgun. Think of it as a big shotgun. It shoots a bunch of shot pellets, that would destroy the satellite that way. Another satellite is equipped with an arm so that it can actually reach out and dismantle like a robot and monkey with the satellite. They also use that satellite to help repair their own satellites. They have experimented with putting up a warhead. They could launch a nuclear weapon on a missile, to blast the satellites with a nuclear weapon. And this is probably only recently as the Department of Defense started paying attention. Most of our attention is focused on these robot-type satellites that would take out our satellites one at a time, onesie, twosies. But the most effective way of taking out our satellites is to do it en masse with a nuclear detonation in space. Because it would generate a kind of EMP called system-generated EMP. The gamma rays would go out, and any satellite that was visible to those gamma rays, that would be exposed to those gamma rays, could be disabled.
What would it disable? It's electronics, it's radar, it's communications, it's navigation. What?
All of that would be disabled because the electronics would be disabled. What happens is the gamma rays strike the metal parts of the satellite, and they knock electrons off of the metal parts. The gamma rays knock electrons off, and it causes a little EMP inside the satellite that fries the electronics within the satellite. And without the electronics, the satellite is basically completely destroyed. So this gamma ray attack, and at the same time, by the way, while you're doing this attack on the satellites, it creates what's called the high altitude EMP effect that propagates down to the atmosphere that can take out electric grids, airplanes, and ships on the surface, ICBM wings, and everything else. So you get a twofer, by making the EMP attack that we normally talk about, that would take out power grids and the like. You're also taking out large numbers of the satellites that are crucial to our military and to our economy. And
do we have anything? Do we, the United States, do we have anything in place now similar to these 4 Russian satellites?
No, we don't. And one of the reasons we don't is because the State Department and the arms control weenies who work for the Department of Defense don't want us getting into a space arms race with Russia or China.
We've been pretty successful in arms race in the past. It's attributed to Ronald Reagan to bring down the Soviet Union because of Star Wars.
Yes, exactly. And I believe
so. It isn't something that we haven't done in the past, and we were pretty darn successful at that.
Yes, that's right. Just the threat of the Strategic Defense Initiative. It hadn't even been deployed yet, but they knew that they weren't going to be able to compete with us technologically with that. And that was basically the thing that the Russians themselves have admitted, that so-called Star Wars is what enabled us to win the Cold War peacefully, unprecedented history, where such a titanic confrontation was ended. We won basically the Cold War without it becoming a nuclear World War III. Now,
Dr. Pry, you know what? This seems to be very political.
It is political.
And it seems to be very political because whenever Donald Trump says 1, the other side goes 0. When Donald Trump says black, the other side goes white. When Donald Trump says yes, the other side goes no. And the cost, for instance, in past conversations with you, the cost to harden our grid against an EMP attack, what did you tell us, $5 billion?
$2 to $4 billion. Yeah.
Yeah, less than $5 billion. And the cost to protect us in space from a military strike, that's not that costly either, is it?
No,
in the grand scheme of things.
We could do it in 5 years for $20 billion. We can deploy brilliant pebbles in 5 years.
You know what I'm getting at is the Russians and the Chinese. They don't have these political squabbles.
Yes, that's right.
Because it isn't political. Whatever Putin wants, Putin gets. Whatever Z wants, Z gets.
Yes, that's
whatever
right.
Donald Trump wants, you're going to have the Democrat Party fighting him tooth and nail to stop him, regardless of how this could make America safe.
Yeah, unfortunately, totalitarian states, tend to be military dictatorship. And the one thing they do well, they have a hard time making consumer goods. They have a hard time generating wealth for their people, with the exception of China, which seems to be a totalitarian state that has figured out how to be prosperous, but at the same time...
Yeah, just sell the U.S. junk. That's how it's so prosperous.
Right. What they do best is war. Preparing for war, to destroy us. And that's one of the things we don't do all that effectively in terms of preparing for these threats. One of the biggest problems we also have, that's not beyond the political part of it, is there's the ideological problems that defy common sense, especially among the Washington establishment. Arms control, for example, the deep abiding faith in arms control. No matter how many times the bad guys violate these treaties, the State Department and people in the Department of Defense continually believe that we can negotiate a solution, we can find a meeting of minds. It's like a religion, there's no amount of empirical evidence will persuade them to give up on arms control. Even President Trump, unfortunately, has authorized his administration to try negotiating, continuing New START, and even involving China, even though we know these guys have violated every treaty they've ever signed. I mean, what's going to come of that? The net effect of arms control agreements is that it only constrains us.
What's scary to me, Dr. Pry, is if, God forbid, the Democrats do get back in office, do get back in the White House, and they can control Congress, the House, and the Senate, you know what they're going to say? We don't need to spend this money. China and Russia's not going to attack us. We need to spend this money on social programs. Dr. Pry, we got to run. We always enjoy having you on. Please tell our audience how they could follow your work. This article is a terrific article. We haven't even scratched the surface. And also to pick up your new book, Will America Be Protected? Dr. Pry, give us the 411.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, if you just look up my name, Peter Vincent Pry, Amazon.com, all my books will be there. Blackout Wars is one of the most popular, but Will America Be Protected has just gone online today.
All right. Dr. Peter Vincent Pry, thank you so much for joining us. Take care. God bless, and we'll let you get back to the beach now.
Well, thank you so much, my friend.
Take care, and enjoy, and God bless.
Thank you.
And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Nasir, Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to be speaking with Caleb Rossiter. He's the executive director of the CO2 Coalition. Don't go away. We'll be right back to talk about fact checkers versus the environmentalist. We'll be right back.
Mom, thank God you're gonna be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm gonna call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing one-day bath and shower remodeling. The complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day. And for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Nasir Shaikh and yours truly, Rick Trader. And once again, a reminder for rebroadcast of our show, be it our radio show, be it our TV show, there's a one source to go to for that. Actually, there's many, but the best is check out our website, CCRshow.com. That's CCRshow.com. And hey, don't forget to like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And with that, Nasir, we do have our next guest with us. He's a newbie, Nasir. He's a newbie, so be kind and gentle to him. Hey, you're that way with all our guests. Please welcome him to the show.
Thank you, Rick. Certainly, we've got Caleb Rossiter. He's the executive director of the CO2 Coalition of 50 climate scientists and energy economists. He's also the director of the American Exceptionalism Media Project, which he likes to say is an anti-imperialist website. He's also worked in Washington, D.C. on foreign policy and academic arenas for quite some time. So, Caleb, we want to welcome you to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Gentlemen, I never thought when I started into climate politics and science in 2003, I'd be on a show called Conservative Commandos. I'm very excited.
Well, we want to talk to you about the article that you wrote, which is Environmental Facts versus Environmental Fact Checkers. You know, Caleb, what I like to say is that the Democrats and the left, they don't like to believe in a church that has God, but they like to believe in a church of climatology. You know, they send us teenagers to lecture us, wag their fingers at us, scream and shout, and tell us that we're doing everything wrong. This is what the left does all the time in terms of climate science. It used to be called global warming, and then when it started to get cooler, then they were global cooling, then they say, you know what, let's call it climate change, because that balances everything. And then you write in your article that BS thing that everybody pulls out. It's like a tool in a toolbox. 97% of all the scientists in the world believe that this is the most existential threat to to the humankind, to Homo sapiens. Oh, can't say Homo sapiens anymore because it's not gender fluid. I mean, tell us What is it that you folks are doing at the CO2 Coalition to battle these SOBs?
Thank you, Nasir. What we're doing is called science. It is true that there is probably a 97% agreement among atmospheric physicists that carbon dioxide is a mild warming gas. That's a scientific fact. Of course, the great dispute is over, how much does it warm the atmosphere? And if it does warm it, how much effect might that have on a hurricane or sea level rise or all the things we actually could care about if they were existential threat? What we have today is an energy crisis, not a climate crisis, and our experts explain why that's the case. Only a third of Africans have electricity available in their home, which explains a lot why life expectancy in Africa is about 50 years instead of the 75 years it is in the parts of the world that do have access to affordable, reliable energy. 85% of the world's energy comes from fossil fuels. The world has gotten very good at cleaning up the real pollution, like the sulfur dioxide or the carbon monoxide of those fuels. And so for some bizarre reason, the left in America 15 years ago latched onto carbon dioxide, a harmless warming gas that's also a powerful plant food and has raised plant productivity, as an existential threat. Now, I was a Democratic staffer at the time in the U.S. Congress, and I could not figure it out for the life of me why they were saying this. It somehow fits in with a religious disbelief in big corporations that make money and make life good for people. I'm still at it's still inexplicable to me, but now they've extended it to legislation, trying to deny you the right to use reliable, affordable energy. Meanwhile, they're all buying into these so-called renewable energy companies to make money. The only reason a renewable energy company could make money is the government mandates passed by the Democrats that states use this energy. Because if it's not mandated, it costs 4 times as much, and it's still intermittent, the wind and solar, because they haven't solved the battery problem. We wish them well with that, but it hasn't happened. We could destroy our economy just as we're destroying Africa's economy with this religious belief in a climate existential crisis. The science just doesn't back it up. We look at the science every day to see if we're moving that direction. It doesn't. So all they do is keep extending their predictions on mathematical models of future disaster.
No, absolutely. I mean, we've had previous guests on that talk about, just in terms of the amount of energy that would be expended to build, for example, some of these wind turbines out there, the steel, the cement, the essential elements, everything inside there. And then obviously there's a cost in terms of where the efficiency eventually, is degraded. I mean, in terms of how many years that's going to be there. And then once those, let's say these wind turbines have essentially used up their service, what do you do with those? So that's the other thing. We talk about, in terms of, we were saying that the science is settled. I mean, wasn't there something back a few years ago? I think it was the East Anglican University where supposedly it was the email gate, where that hockey stick was basically shown, and again, they were fudging the data. But everybody just seems to forget that. And I think, as you were saying before, one of the biggest boondoggles in terms of wealth transfer is exactly what you were talking about, that in government utilizes our taxpayer money, like with Solyndra, to the tune of $500 million, and then the United Nations decides that they can take money from America and give it to who? These third world nations. And that's exactly what this is. It's just a transfer of wealth from the United States to the rest of the world.
Well, I think that's accurate, Nasir, except you have to remember it's also a destruction of wealth. It's a destruction of our energy system, which has powered modern improvements in health, medicine, employment opportunity, and life expectancy. You couldn't dream up a more suicidal proposal than Vice President Biden's recent climate plan. It won't affect the climate, by the way. I hate it when they call it a climate plan. It's just an expensive energy plan. But when we make these points on Facebook, which is where we are forced to do our work to reach people in shows like yours, because the mainstream media have been bullied over the last 15 years into canceling any opinion that looks at any of these complex matters. Ocean so-called acidification, so-called renewables, even these things that are very complex in the economic world. You're banned from talking about that. So you must use Facebook and Twitter, we hope as effectively as President Trump did as candidate Trump, to get around the mainstream media's raw censorship. And now what? You know what? Because we've been effective on Facebook and reached a lot of people, now they're trying to ban us on Facebook.
Well, you know what? Those Twitter Nazis and Facebook Nazis out there, I mean, Zuckerberg, I mean, it just depends. You just have to put your finger in your mouth, hold it up to the wind to decide, okay, what side, he's going to wake up on. I mean, these people, they control so much of the information highway. You're absolutely correct. One of the things that's sort of amazing is that, because we live in a constitutional republic, because we are who we are, and we allow people to basically give their opinions, and we allow the left and the right and everybody in between to debate. This is why we sort of get stuck and mired in policy. But I'll tell people many times, I argue with my colleagues and friends, I say, you know what? You never hear of an anti-climate demonstration in Mumbai or Bombay, India. If Exxon decides to hold a job opening over there, you'll see a line that stretches for miles as people try to, get a job in India or whatever. I mean, with a global, pharmaceutical or a global climate company or global oil conglomerate, okay? But over here, you're going to have people protesting if somebody decides to do that. So, they're trying to have it, both ways. And you're exactly right. If we decide, look, here in America, where almost everybody has got electrical capability, I mean, your home, we just turn on a light switch basically and you're done. It's fine over here. If our gas goes up a little bit, okay, most of us will be able to survive it. But you know what? That's not what happens in these third and fourth world countries. They need it. This is basic, the BRIC, Brazil, Russia, India, China. They need this energy.
Well, they do, but we do as well. And I used to work for a congressman named Bill Delahunt from the Cape Cod and south of Boston, as he said, Boston area.
Boston.
And he worked very hard to get heating oil to his constituents for the wintertime, because when the price of heating oil is high, people use less of it. Now, the National Institutes of Health decided recently that starting in 2011, fracking, the amazing hydraulic fracturing that delivers natural gas to the United States, was saving in America, Nasir, 11,000 lives a year, because people in Ohio or Montana or Massachusetts, where Congressman Delahunt was from, will keep their heat up when it's cheap. And when the heat gets expensive, as it would be without fracking and natural gas, they turn it down and they die of bronchial infections and other complications because they weren't using the heat. That's in America. And as you say, imagine what happens in Africa when you have to cook in your home using wood inside, wood chips, charcoal, and animal dung. You get these 3 million deaths a year, according to the World Health Organization, from indoor air pollution that fossil fueled electricity would solve. And yet our country votes against, under President Obama, any loans at the World Bank for people to build coal-fired and well-scrubbed power plants in Africa.
You're absolutely right. We're here speaking with Caleb Rossiter. He's the executive director of the CO2 Coalition of 50 climate scientists and energy economists. And Caleb, we'd love to hold you for another break, but we've got to do some business with our sponsors. So we'll be right back in just a couple of minutes. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn American Political Radio, AM/FM 24/7, and also we're seen on the AUN TV network in California. Folks, don't go away. We got so much more on the other side with our guest, Caleb Rossiter.
Attention homeowners. Do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition, as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas, like yours.
Don't wonder what to do next. Take action right now and get the help you need from InventHelp.
InventHelp. Call today for free information.
800-880-2937. That's 800-880-2937 now.
Once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. My co-host today is the Doctor for the Republic, Dr. Right, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. For rebroadcast, check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. Caleb Rossiter is our guest in this segment. He's the executive director of the CO2 Coalition. Caleb, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time. You know, Caleb, you started our show by saying you would find it pretty hard to believe that in 2003 that you would ever be on a show called the Conservative Commandos radio show, and tell our audience about that. Why would you find it hard to believe?
Well, I am a lifelong Democrat. I'd run for Congress as a Democrat. I've been a Democratic staffer on the Hill many years. It was only as a professor at American University of Statistics and Mathematics and also African Development that I began to have to study climate claims. Before then, I was a true believer, like anyone who reads the Washington Post and the New York Times every day and doesn't listen to conservative commandos, that we were in some climate crisis caused by carbon dioxide. And when I assigned for my statistics students, my graduate students in quantitative methods, pick any article in International Affairs that uses peer-reviewed research and do an analysis. That would be their semester term project to see if they'd learned the techniques I had taught them. One of them picked a climate study by the UN. And I took one look at the way they described it and gave them an F because it was so silly. It was mathematical modeling predicting the world 100 years from now with no idea, as with the COVID models lately, if your input parameters were correct. And she came back sort of in tears and said, but it really is what they say. And I said, you've got to be making this up. So I went and got the study and started to read it and was horrified and became converted literally in minutes, just as a mathematician.
Wow.
Not that I knew much about climate, but that I knew that this claim about the climate models was completely crazy. You wouldn't base your policies on a prediction of 150 years from now. And I became, over 15 years, quite expert working with physicists. I would have a physics text in my classroom to learn the physics. I bumped into the amazing characters at the CO2 Coalition at some conferences I would speak at. I was always the token Democrat, and that's wrong. That's silly. This is just science. There's no reason that a Democrat or Republican should look at a climate model and feel differently about it, especially when 97% of them, to pick a number, don't know anything about mathematical modeling.
Well, you know, Caleb, when you talk about climate change, and by the way, the term, the name has changed. It used to be in the 1970s, it was global cooling.
Right.
We were going to go into another ice age. And then in the 80s and 90s, it became global warming. And now it's climate change. Believe it or not, Caleb, this may shock you. I believe in climate change. Do you know why I believe in climate change? Because I love history. And the history of the world has told us throughout, especially the last 100,000 years, that we've actually had 4 ice ages. The last one was about 12 or 13,000 years ago, and at that time there was a sheet of ice that covered North America all the way down to Princeton, New Jersey. In some places, this ice sheet was 2 miles thick. So obviously there's been climate change. What I'd like to know is how they were heating their home and what were they driving 12,000 years ago to melt all that ice. I don't know that. But I believe in climate change because history, geology has told us, has shown us that the climate has changed. The Sahara Desert at one time was green and lush. Now it's a bunch of sand.
Well,
I believe in climate change. I don't think mankind's had anything to do with it, though.
Well, obviously, mankind has had nothing to do with climate change, and probably till 1950, when the amount of carbon dioxide emissions, this inert, harmless gas produced by burning fossil fuels, became to have a sufficient increase from about 3% of 1% of the atmosphere to 4% of 1% of the atmosphere. So almost all the warming we've seen that the UN talks about, starting in 1900, came from natural causes. You were right, returning from a little ice age in about 1600 to 1800. I love the fact you brought up the 100,000 year figure for when you say there's been climate change, because mathematicians will tell you it's a gorgeous cycle. It's every 100,000 years. For the last 5 million years, we go through a swing up and a swing down that brings ice sheets at one end and brings the heat we have today at the other. We just happen to be at the high end of that 100,000 year cycle.
Thank God for that.
We're going to be going down again. So if we have this show in 80,000 years, they're going to have that sheet of ice in New Jersey again.
Well, by then I'll be retired. You know, Caleb, I was looking around. I don't know where it's at right. Oh, wait. Hold on. I want to get something. I think I found it. It's way up here in the corner.
Is it your cat?
No, it's not Bobby this time. Not this time. But Mike, one of my favorite bumper stickers is this. Can you see it?
I can see it, and I have it on my car.
I love CO2. Why do I love CO2? Why would I love CO2?
Okay, carbon dioxide is a very important part of two processes in the life. Almost all of us are made out of CO2. We breathe tremendous amounts of it in and out all the time. But also it's a part of the process of photosynthesis that makes our Earth green, that releases the oxygen. But also it's a minor component in our wonderful temperature. Water vapor is the main greenhouse gas. It happens naturally, but carbon dioxide might be 1% of it. And it helps keep our atmosphere here about average 60 degrees all the time rather than 0. So we're happy to have the natural global warming. And there is no evidence that the slight increase in temperature since 1950 has changed our rates per decade of hurricanes or storms or droughts or sea level rise. And these data come from the United Nations. They quickly push them to the side and tell you about their climate models. And that's why, Rick, we're being censored sort of as assiduously and perseverantly by Facebook because everything that we write lately has been about the models. And they don't like to hear about the models because it's all they've got. There's no data to date that show we were in a climate crisis. So really, all these teenage fears. And I can't believe one of the smartest people I know, Nancy Pelosi, brilliant strategist, wonderful speaker who I worked with when I was a congressional staffer, has bought into this stuff about existential crisis. It just isn't true.
Well, I think it has a lot to do with politics. Caleb Rossiter, Executive Director of the CO2 Coalition. I want to thank you for joining us here on Conservative Commandos. We actually got off track from what we were going to talk about. Your article, Environmental Facts versus Environmental Fact Checkers. You're up against some very well-funded opposition there, Caleb. But please tell our audience how they could keep track of what you do and what you write and all about the CO2 Coalition.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you, Nasir. The fact that we're being censored by Facebook and actually threatening to ban us for being effective in our science communication leads me to say, please check us out on Facebook and communicate with us there. We have wonderful stuff we post every day, but we have 55 wonderful climate scientists and energy economists who write studies that we try to put into the English language for the average person to read. That's really my job, is to edit their scientific gobbledygook into something you can get. We're at the co2coalition.org, and we look forward to hearing from all your listeners.
Caleb Rossiter, again, thank you so much for joining us. Take care, and God bless.
Thank you so much, guys.
And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away, Nasir, and I will be back with more right after this break.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000. You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club for around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry. They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more. Call the number on your screen now for a free no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and 0 deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Well, Nasir, that just about wraps it up for today's show. I want to thank you for sitting in as my co-host. And Nasir, please tell our audience how they can keep track of what you're up to when you're not here on the Conservative Commandos.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know what? Like I say, when you're right, you're right. When you're left, those guys are always wrong. If you want to get a hold of me, you can do so at my website, which is drnasirshayk.com, drnasirshayk.com, or at Twitter, which is at Nasir Shaikh Show, at Nasir Shaikh Show, or on Facebook, if we're not in jail, which is The Nasir Shaikh Show. That's The Nasir Shaikh Show at Facebook. I want to thank our guests that we had as well today, Rick. First off, we had Nick Stehle. He's a Vice President of Communications for the Foundation of Government Accountability. And Nick was talking to us about ending the destructive unemployment bonus. Then we also had Dr. Vincent Pry, the Executive Director of the Task Force on National and Homeland Security. He's also director of the U.S. Nuclear Strategy Forum. And his article was talked about, have Russia and China already militarized space? And then we also had a newcomer to the Conservative Commandos, Caleb Rossiter, the Executive Director of the CO2 Coalition of 50 climate scientists and energy economists. And you know what Caleb was talking to us about? Of course, it was environmental facts versus environmental fact checkers. So once again, 3 great guests, great information for our listening and viewing audience. Rick, thanks so much.
All right. But for right now, we are out of time. We got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.